Oh, yeah. Is it Saturday already? Have we made it through yet another week of Star Wars news? And my God, has it been a big one for the Star Wars community. Today, we got to break down a brand new trailer for the next Star Wars show. And we got to talk about the Mandalorian and Grogu movie with this article that's going crazy online about the movie and how it will flop, how it won't make any money because of the problem with the MCU, and somehow that correlates to Star Wars? Also, we got to talk about Darth Revan coming to Star Wars and the Old Republic coming a lot sooner than we ever could have imagined. So we got a lot to get into and not a lot of time. Of course, Cal Kestis will be talking about too, and the Lego Death Star, which has been blowing up the internet for the last 3 days. So without further ado, let's dive into all of it. What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing on this fine Saturday afternoon? We got a lot of different things to get into today, all over the board with the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, the Old Republic, all the way to the sequel stuff. So we got a shit ton of things to get to today. But a new trailer is seemingly the most important thing because we have a Star Wars show in 13 days. Start the countdown because we got 13 days till the next Star Wars show. And it might be way more important than we could possibly imagine. It's a Lego show. It's Rebuild the Galaxy Season 2. But somehow, some way, it's extremely important. Darth Revan, Cal Kestis. We'll talk about it. We'll break down the trailer. We'll talk about the Mandalorian and Grogu movie and whether or not it will make billions of dollars or if it will be a flop. But before we do any of that, we're going to start the stream the way we know how. The only correct way, and that's by saying hi to everybody in the chat. Okay. Holly, what's up? Mando United in the house. Ron, how we doing? Jessica, what is up? Brandon Baker in the house. 50 Thunder, what is up? I Haja, how we doing? Melissa, what is up? Dustin Kennedy in the house. Steve, what is up? The Dave that loves Star Wars, great name. How we doing? Greg, what is up? Darth Plagueis lives, how we doing? B-Man in the house. Tafari Tano, what is up? Fick Hone, how we doing? WV Grad, what is up? Okay, if I missed you, you know the deal. Just yell at me in the chat. Let's give everybody a nice little
Hello there.
General Kenobi.
Okay, so I think we got to start with this trailer. A new trailer. We got to break it down. Simple as that. This trailer came out yesterday, or maybe it was Thursday, but it happened after the live stream, so we weren't able to break it down live. So we got to talk about it today, break it all down, talk about Darth Revan and how this is going to be insane. The future of Star Wars content. If you thought the last 5 years on Disney Plus were crazy, if you thought The Mandalorian Season 1, 2, 3, Ahsoka, Skeleton Crew, The Bad Batch, Clone Wars Season 7, Andor, The Acolyte, if you thought all that was crazy, strap in. Because the next 5 years are going to make that look like nothing. Literally nothing. So we'll talk about that in a second. But let's watch this. Actually, first, let's read this article and then we'll watch the trailer. Okay? Let's read this first and then watch the trailer. So Darth Revan, that's who the trailer is all about. Okay? Darth freaking Revan. Yeah. Now, Darth Revan's a very complex character. I honestly don't know if I could explain him in 2 hours. In our 2 hours that we have together today, I don't know if I could explain his whole entire story arc. That's why if we're going to a next saga, you know how we got the Skywalker saga? The next one would likely be a Revan saga, much like Anakin is the main character throughout the course of this Skywalker saga. Revan would be the next guy. He'd be the next Anakin, pretty much. And that's why, I mean, let's do this. Darth Revan. Let's go to Wikipedia, see if they can give us a brief description. Brief. Okay. Well, there's a Legends one and a canon one. Those are very different. Let's go with I think we're on the canon one now, right? Yeah. Let's go with the canon one for now, okay? Let's see who Revan is in canon today. Wait, what? Sith Eternal speak Revan's name? Wow. Was this in Rise of Skywalker? Wait. Hang on. We got to go to appearances. Non-canon appearances. Rebuild the Galaxy, which we'll be talking about today. Okay. Clone Wars, yep. Rise of Skywalker, yes. That's where he's Okay. Scrolling back up. Again, even his canon description, when he hasn't even shown up yet, is multiple pages. Revan was a Sith Lord and the namesake of the Sith Eternal Army's Revan's Legion. Since the history of the Sith was kept hidden from the galaxy, only Sith cultists knew the significance of Revan's name. In 3 ABY, cultists searching the catacombs beneath the Sith Citadel on the planet of Exegol repeated Revan's name in something similar to a chant, along with the name of other Sith Lords. Okay, so he really has 0 canon appearances. That's his only canon appearance? His name being chanted on Exegol? Yeah. So if you go to the Legends tab here, I'm sure it's going to be like a billion pages. If you go to the Revan Legends tab here, you even get his face and mask. His mask is so cool. Okay. You got pages on pages on pages. Look at this. Biography. Early life. Mandalorian Wars. Rise of Sith. Revan Reborn. After the Wars. Threat of the Sith. Freedom and Fall. Like, it goes on for days. You could, again, 2 hours of this entire stream we could talk about Revan, but we're not going to. All you need to know is that he's coming to canon. So take a look at this. Darth Revan are coming to Star Wars on the screen. I don't really know if Rebuild the Galaxy is considered canon, but let's read this. Darth Revan debuts in exclusive new Star Wars series footage. Okay. 22 years after he debuted in Star Wars media in Knights of the Old Republic, the video game, Darth Revan is set to return to the franchise in an upcoming Star Wars show. So 22 years ago would put us in calculating 2003, right? 2003. I was approximately 1 year old, and Darth Revan was just, hanging out. Yeah. He's the main character you play as in the Knights of the Old Republic. The fallen Jedi who became an instrumental Sith Lord has long been one of the most popular Star Wars characters who hasn't fully made the leap from Legends to canon. But finally, Star Wars fans have at least have the opportunity to see him on the screen, albeit in somewhat an unexpected way. Revan's story is as rich as any characters in Star Wars, honestly, probably more so. Because of the games, because of all the Legends material with the Old Republic, there is so much of Revan's character explored. I always compare him to Vader because Vader has so much of his story explored. He's on that same level of story exploration. I'll get to that super chat in 1 sec. Okay. All right. Whether in Legends or in canon, he began as a Jedi who broke away from the Order and turned to the dark side before a redemption arc. Sound familiar? It's a lot different, but it when you pretty much put it into one sentence like this, it sounds exactly like Anakin Skywalker, but it's not. It's not. He's also easily one of the coolest looking Sith characters in Star Wars history. And it's a tragedy that we've not seen him in live action yet. Now, thanks to comicbook.com's exclusive clip from the upcoming LEGO Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy Pieces of the Past, we finally get to see Darth Revan in action once again. We will watch it. We'll watch it after we read this. No, let's watch it now. Let's watch it now. Okay. It's only a minute long. We get to see Revan look all badass, which is cool. Getting to see him swing a lightsaber, and in any form, whether it be Lego or live action, it's still cool. But you got Sith Obi-Wan and Sith Revan walking in, okay? Now, if you didn't watch season 1 of this show, you might be a little confused. The whole gist of it is it's what if Star Wars, pretty much. It's like, what if Vader was a good guy and Darth Jar Jar existed and all that great stuff. You even have Jackson right there. The whole Ahsoka being the brick figure is still just no. Like, not a fan. Just make her the Ahsoka just like the rest of them. Just Lego. That'd be great. Yeah. Lego Star Wars is still considered canon adjacent. I mean, no, but yes. There's no multiverse in Star Wars. Okay. So, in no reality or no canon of the Star Wars universe does this happen. There's no giant brickhead Ahsoka just roaming around in the Star Wars galaxy. So, no, this is not canon to the storyline of Star Wars, but that doesn't mean it's not important. It's still the first time that Disney Star Wars is establishing Revan in anything. Yes, he was chanted on Exegol, but this is actually seeing him on screen. And I bring back to the season 1 of this Rebuild the Galaxy, where the main character, don't even remember his name, somebody help me out in the chat, but the main character is telling the story of Star Wars to start the entire show. He's telling the story of Star Wars all the way from Anakin, all the way to the rise of Skywalker. And he tells the people, because he's telling it around a fire like a campfire song, he's telling the people around the fire that next time he'll tell them the story of Grand Admiral Thrawn. So this show, in many different ways, is teasing towards the future of Star Wars content. Of course, Grand Admiral Thrawn is now going to be the big bad of the Mandoverse, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But the fact that Revan is in this, and we'll get to Cal Kestis too, because he's in it, but the fact that Revan is in this and seemingly going to play a pretty important role leads us to believe, and hopefully, because fans are going to lose their minds about it anyway, that Revan is on his way. Now, there's a Knights of the Old Republic remake game in the works right now. There's the Dawn of the Jedi movie in the works right now. It seems like a shift after the Mandoverse is completed to the Old Republic is highly likely. Okay? Highly likely. So Revan being in this show is much like Thrawn being mentioned in season 1 or Cal Kestis being in this show as well. It's giving fans what they want while also hopefully alluding to the future of Star Wars content. Now let's get back to this clip for a sec. So Revan doesn't speak. That's a big deal. Revan doesn't speak a single word in this trip. Now, he's got the iconic helmet on. He's looking all badass. The helmet does look slightly different. Maybe that's on purpose. Not too sure. But the reason him not talking is very important is because who might be voice acting for Darth Revan? A very, 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 very famous fan cast for Star Wars, probably one of the biggest ones, is Keanu Reeves as Darth Revan. Fans have been begging for this pretty much since the character was created, all the way back in 2003. And now it seems like Keanu can never play the role because, well, Keanu Reeves is like 60 years old. And if we're doing a Darth Revan show or movie or both, saga, you're going to want him to be a younger actor so that you can have more time spent with this character. However, the greatest thing that Star Wars could ever do is please the fans who want Keanu Reeves to play Darth Revan and make him the voice. Whether it be in animation or in this series of Lego Star Wars, make him the voice. You're bringing back all these different actors and actresses to play the voices of the iconic characters. Why not do it with Darth Revan? Please the fans, give them the fan cast that they've always been asking for, and bring in Keanu Reeves. There's rumors that Keanu Reeves is in talks with Disney to join Star Wars. Yes, but that's probably for a different role. Again, he's 60 years old. I think it would be more likely that Keanu Reeves is going to play one of the Jedi who established the Jedi Order in Dawn of the Jedi. That's a far more likely possibility than him ever playing Revan in live action. Now, he could do it that you're going to do a Obi-Wan situation. You could do it that you start with old Obi-Wan in A New Hope, and then you go back and recast the character for a young Obi-Wan in The Phantom Menace. And maybe they do that with Revan. Maybe. You give us old Revan first, and then tell us the origin story. And you give us Keanu Reeves as Revan. And tell me in the chat if you like that idea. Honestly, it would be very repetitive, and copying the Skywalker saga quite a bit. But hey, George Lucas taught us anything, it's to throw you right smack dab in the middle of a story and then explain things afterwards. But tell me in the chat if you like that idea. I just don't see a world where Keanu Reeves comes in and plays live action Revan. So why not please the fans and give us the voice? Because you see Revan's face. He doesn't don the mask until the Mandalorian Wars, until he's... I actually don't know how old he is when he puts on the mask. Until he's older. So you need an actor's face. Yeah. I bet it's Sam Witwer voicing him. I doubt it. Not if they have the chance to get Keanu Reeves. Yeah. Maybe Keanu is the original Jedi with a pet Force dog. Okay. But somebody kills Revan's dog. I mean, somebody kills his dog and Revan is born. No. But maybe he could be one of the first Jedi. I do like that. Skywalker Academy, what's up? So let me actually put up a poll in the chat here. Let me put up a poll. And let me get to that super chat too. All right. By the way, if you haven't smashed a freaking like in the stream, what the hell are you doing? We got 2 super chats. Oh, my fault. Darth Plagueis lives with a very generous $10 holla. I appreciate that quite a bit. Says, hello there.
Hello there.
So Old Republic when and Cal Kestis when? Both very great questions. Cal Kestis, well, he will be in Rebuild the Galaxy. He's not in this trailer, but he will be in the series. So Cal Kestis in 13 days. Not too shabby. Old Republic might be a little bit longer than 13 days. Other than Darth Revan being a Old Republic connection, and you'll get an Old Republic mention, which we get in this trailer. But if I were to guess, I think you're going to see The Mandalorian play out, hopefully in a trilogy for the next 6 years. A year in between movies, so a trilogy movie every 2 years. That takes you to 2030. Now, 2030 sounds like it's really far away. What the heck happened? Okay. Now, 2030 seems like it's very far away. It's not. I mean, it's only 5 years away. It's actually way less than 5 years. We're almost in 2026 now. Or we're 4 months away, but that's pretty close. So it's really like 4 years away. Just over 4 years away. I know that sounds scary. But that's when I think you'll see some Old Republic stuff start happening. Hopefully a movie to kickstart us off first. But it will be at least 4 years until we actually get to see that. In live action, will they make an animated series first? Maybe. Possibly. They'll definitely be making Dawn of the Jedi first. The Old Republic and Dawn of the Jedi are 2 very different things. The Dawn of the Jedi leads into the Old Republic, but they're 2 separate entities. You're not going to see Revan in the Dawn of the Jedi movie. No. But hopefully that answers your question. Okay. Rom with a very generous $10 holla as well says, they aren't putting Darth Revan and Cal Kestis in this for nothing. Yeah. So they're clearly doing this for a reason. Darth Revan and Cal Kestis, 2 characters very unconnected, but 2 very important characters. Cal, who has had 0 live action or animation appearances, only in the games themselves, but has become a fan favorite character. He will definitely find his way into live action, hopefully in Ahsoka Season 2 or the Mandalorian and Grogu movie or beyond that at some point. His connection to Dathomir, his connection to the Night Sisters being that he's pretty much married to one. Not actually. His girlfriend is a Night Sister. That connection right there alone should bring him in to help fight Grand Admiral Thrawn and the Night Sisters. But Revan is the more interesting one. I know Cal Kestis is a fan favorite character and people want to see him in live action. Cameron Monaghan, yeah, woohoo, sure. I do too. But Revan? We're talking about a whole different level here. Darth Revan not only gives you a fan favorite character over the last 20 years, but it also gives you a brand new spot in the timeline, brand new characters, brand new plot, thousands of Sith versus thousands of Jedi. You get to see the Jedi and Sith wars. You get to see the Mandalorian wars. It's way bigger. Way bigger. But I could not agree with you more. They did not put these 2 characters in there for no reason. There's clearly a reason that they put Darth Revan specifically. They didn't put Darth Bane. They didn't put Nihilus or Malgus or anybody else. They put Revan. No other Old Republic characters. Nothing. This is all present day Darth Jar Jar, Jedi Palpatine, Jedi Jabba the Hutt, like present day characters. And Revan. So the show itself will likely explain some of this. And even this trailer does too, as you hear this. So even that, like they're going to play with the idea that the Old Republic is something that people know about. The main character here, again, still don't know his name. Somebody help me out in the chat. They're going to be playing with that idea that the Old Republic happened and people know about it. It's in the history books. This character that we know, that fans know, is going to be established now in canon. Even just mentioning the Old Republic is the first time we've ever done such a thing in Star Wars, which is pretty damn cool. Whenever the Old Republic is usually mentioned, it's talking about the prequel trilogy, like in Skeleton Crew or in A New Hope when Obi-Wan says it. He's talking about the Republic that he served, the prequel trilogy. Not this. Not the Old Republic that we know and love. Yeah. How many Night Sisters are there in the main galaxy nowadays? Not many, right? No. Well, before Thrawn showed up with all these ones, the undead ones or whatever, no, there's only Merrin, Morgan Elsbeth, Asajj Ventress, and maybe a few other survivors. It's like Order 66 happened to them. Grievous came in and slaughtered all of them. So there's only a few that survived. Yeah. Now with Thrawn bringing in a bunch, though, there'll be quite a lot. Well, Lego Revan is a start. Lego Revan is a lot better than no Revan. That's for damn sure. Lego Watch Party? Oh, absolutely. So this show comes out in 13 days. Less than 2 weeks on September 19th. So we will definitely be doing a watch party for this. It's a Thursday into a Friday, I believe. I'm guessing it'll come out at 3 a.m., which is just devastating. Lucasfilm, if you're watching, and we know that you are, let's not do that. Let's put it on at 9 p.m., like the live action shows. That'll be fan-frickin-tastic. That'd be amazing. Yeah. But yes, we're definitely doing a watch party for this series when it comes out in 2 weeks. Yeah. Yeah. That picture of Neil that you found, Mike, was so funny. What happened to them? Wait, of what happened to him? Please send it to the Discord. Oh, yeah. So there's a guy. I'll send it to the Discord. If you are not yet in the Discord, there's a link in the description below to the Discord and to become a member. But yeah, there's a guy on Twitter, X, formerly known as Twitter, says who edits a Mandalorian still from the Mandalorian series with Neil into it. And it's incredible. Yeah. Mike, the brothers are Sig and Dev. Sig, thank you. Oh my God, I could not think of that for the life of me. Revan is what Kylo Ren should be. I mean, yeah, no, not really. Kylo Ren tries to copy Darth Vader. Now, you could kind of say that Vader's trying to copy Revan, but he's not intentionally trying to copy Revan. It just so happens that Revan takes place in the timeline earlier. I don't think he's trying to copy Revan, but his mask is certainly, it gives Revan vibes. Yeah. Yeah. The Old Republic is canon. No, in canon, sorry, will be very different from Legends because in canon, there's only one Sith war, I believe, and the Sith took over the galaxy and then destroyed themselves. Well, that may be canon for now. That's the thing. When we get to the Old Republic, there's so much of that time period that's up in the air that we haven't seen yet in canon that will establish what's going on. Yes, I agree with you that the Old Republic in Legends is going to look very different from the Old Republic in canon, but that's the exact same thing we're talking about here with the Heir to the Empire. So it all ties together. Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are doing the Heir to the Empire right now in canon. That version of the Heir to the Empire of Grand Admiral Thrawn is going to look vastly different than the Legends one. Like, They probably won't even be the exact same story at all, except for the fact that Thrawn is there. Because the heroes alone, you probably aren't going to have Luke, Leia, and Han involved that much. Probably not. Your new heroes are Mando, Grogu, Ahsoka, the Ghost Crew, Boba Fett, like characters who weren't even in the Heir to the Empire trilogy. So this is pretty much the testing ground. It always is. The Mandoverse has always been the testing ground, and it continues to be. It's the testing ground for Disney Plus shows. It's the testing ground for what the future of Star Wars content is going to look like. Because this is Legends being brought into canon. It's different. It's not going to be the same. But that's how they're going to do the Old Republic too. So if this Heir to the Empire trilogy works in the Mandoverse, if it doesn't flop, like the title of this live stream may lead you to believe, like this article we're going to read later may lead you to believe that the Mandalorian and Grogu movie will flop. If it doesn't, which it shouldn't, then that's going to be the blueprint moving forward. You can bring Legends characters, Legends ideas into canon, alter them, because you don't want to just hear the same story told over again, but still have the same foundation. You still have Grand Admiral Thrawn as the heir to the Empire, but you're going to change the story to fit the canon. You're still going to have Darth Revan. You're still going to have all the great Sith Lords you know and love. You'll still probably even have characters like Emperor Vitiate, but it'll be changed to fit the canon of Star Wars. Now, with the Heir to the Empire, you have less breathing room because canon is already established. The sequel trilogy already happened. You have to play by the rules of canon there. With the Old Republic, there's not much you have to do except for keeping the bounds of how the Force works in canon, keeping, all that other stuff. But you can pretty much do what Legends does with just slight alterations. Heir to the Empire can't be done. It can't be. I'm sticking with the Easter egg equals open lightsaber handle. No, but you're kind of close. Yeah. Yes, steal more from the EU and destroy it? Well, I definitely don't think they're going to destroy it. Grand Admiral Thrawn is an incredible character in Legends, and he's even better in canon. Like, they added so much more to his character in canon. So I think what Dave Filoni does and does extremely well and continues to do extremely well is take those Legends aspects that he loves most, bring them to canon, and elevate them, make them better. Because there is so much in Legends that's really, really good, but they could benefit from being in canon and playing off of these new stories. Like Grand Admiral Thrawn, perfectly. Yeah. I really want them to bring Skeleton Crew into this LEGO series. I mean, they could be. Grogu and the Mandalorian are there, so why not? It could be. I liked Kylo Ren, to be honest. Oh, me too. He's definitely my favorite character from the sequel trilogy. And that's why I want to see more of him, Yes, Haja finally found it. Chopper has this little unit door opened on his body. Yes! That was it. Good job, Haja. 1,000 credits coming your way. Yeah. Okay, but even going back to this trailer now, just the mention of the Old Republic, it's just cool. Getting a mention of the Old Republic, confirming that it is a canon thing that happened. Of course, we already knew that, but getting that mentioned in a show, not just in the books or Legends material, but actually in a somewhat canon, not really canon, but in a television series. Because you're going to get way more Revan in the future. At some point, it's going to look like Revan's the main character in Star Wars. Probably not for another 5 years, but still, you're going to get Old Republic, you're going to get a saga, you're going to get shows and movies and all that stuff. And this is just the beginning. In 13 days, we'll be introduced on screen for the first time ever to Darth Revan. And that, my friends, is pretty damn cool. It's pretty damn cool. Now, whenever we talk about the Old Republic, you have to bring up the KOTOR remake. Okay? You have to bring up the Knights of the Old Republic remake that was announced 5 years ago, something like that, maybe 6 years ago even. You have to bring it up because it's been in this, limbo for so long that people don't even think it's being made anymore. And honestly, it might not be. But I think that it's being put on hold so that it comes out while they're making Old Republic content. It makes sense because if you're making an Old Republic show and an Old Republic movie, then people are going to want to play in that world. So make the KOTOR remake at that point. It's like what we were talking about a couple weeks ago. The Mandalorian missed out because we should have been getting a Mandalorian video game the entire run of the series with updates on the new seasons and all this stuff. Like you could go on the adventure that they go on in the series. And I think they realized that they missed that because there was a Mando video game in development at one point. So now, if they develop a KOTOR remake game now, early on, and then they go make KOTOR stuff, they make Old Republic content, then you drop the game and people can live in the game while also living in that space on the big screen and the small screen on Disney Plus. So I think they're delaying this KOTOR remake for a reason, and that's so that we have Old Republic content when it's coming out. Yeah. So I wouldn't expect that game for a long time. You're going to get Star Wars Eclipse before then, and hopefully some other games too. The third Jedi game with Cal Kestis and all that stuff. So we talked plenty of Darth Revan. Let's talk about Cal Kestis, okay? We know for a fact that he will be in this series that comes out in 13 days, Rebuild the Galaxy. But when is he coming to live action? When do you think Cal Kestis is going to come to live action? Will it be next year in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie or Ahsoka Season 2? Honestly, probably not the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. Maybe Ahsoka Season 2, but even that I'm pretty hesitant about. I don't think he'll be in that either. The third installment of the Cal Kestis game is probably not until 2027. Maybe late next year, but 2027 if we're lucky. So the 50th anniversary of Star Wars is in 2027, and they've been talking about how they're going to celebrate Star Wars all year long. Star Wars Celebration in April, Starfighter in May, and who knows what else for the rest of the year. Maybe one of those things could be the third installment of the Jedi games with Cal Kestis. That would be nice. But when does that character come over to live action? When and where? I think the when of it all is the Mandoverse. I think he'll show up to help defeat Grand Admiral Thrawn, like I was saying earlier. But where is pretty interesting. It could be Dave Filoni's movie, this culmination event movie against Grand Admiral Thrawn. Could be. But where else would it even be? Could he get his own series, maybe? I don't know. KOTOR remake is going to be the next GTA 6. Yeah, probably. The Battlefront guys have a full Mando mode ready to drop for the game, and Disney told them to scrap it because they didn't want a Mando game going on with the Mando show. I don't know if that's true, but if it is, that's insane. That's a big old bummer. There'll probably never be a live-action adaptation of Cal Kestis. Oh, that's definitely not the case. Yeah. Does the Dave Filoni movie even come out? Yeah. Well, actually, we just talked about this last stream, maybe, where Dave Filoni even gave his piece on this. Let's take a look at this.
I work in very big arcs and timelines. I always have a lot of things planned, but I'm always able to move things on that big board. And so Ahsoka Season 2 was a plan that I had, obviously, off of Season 1, if I got to continue, and I had an idea of where that went. And then a lot of things happened that were out of my control that made a lot of challenges to actually accomplishing that. But until I fully understood Season 2, I wouldn't understand how the movie should go. And so all these things kind of grow out of each other. And as John...
So pretty much what he's just saying there is he can't do the movie until he does Ahsoka Season 2, because that has to come first in the timeline. So does the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. So he won't start working on his movie until after Ahsoka Season 2 is done, which it's still filming right now. So Dave Filoni's movie is likely to come out, I would guess, in 2028, because that'll give a year time gap in between The Mandalorian and Grogu and then this movie. So that would give you Mando movie, Starfighter movie, Mando movie, 2026, 2027, 2028. And I'm all for that. But that's why we haven't gotten any update on the Dave Filoni movie, because he's working on Ahsoka Season 2. Oh, I forgot to put up the poll. Hang on. Hang on. Let's put up this poll. Do you want Cal Kestis in live action? Yes or no? Tell me in the chat. And if so, where? Yeah. 2029 is probably when Dave Filoni movies coming out. Yeah, that would put 2 years in between Mando movies. So I feel like they're going to go down the same path as they did with the sequel trilogy, where it was 1 year in between with a different story in between that. So like Force Awakens, then Rogue One, then The Last Jedi. You're going to have Mando, Starfighter, Mando. Yeah. I think James Mangold's movie will come out before Filoni's. I don't think so. We haven't gotten an update on Dawn of the Jedi in a long time. So I think it would either be later in the year 2028 or probably even 2029. Yeah. Yeah. I don't like video games characters, so I don't really care. I mean, valid. If you don't play the games, you probably don't know even who he is or what he does. Yeah. I think the Mandalorian and Grogu movie will be a modest hit with $500 million worldwide. No. We'll talk about why the Mandalorian and Grogu movie is going to be a drastic success in a little bit, but yeah. Yeah. Let's put a pin on this stuff. Okay. So, the clip sees a silent being the key, Revan, appearing alongside an evil red lightsaber wielding Obi-Wan Kenobi, voiced by James Arnold Taylor. In an Empire fortress, the Sith, once again wearing his iconic red and black robes with the irresistible cool Mandalorian mask, and wielding one purple and one red lightsaber. The Sith pair then battles the show's returning heroes Sig Greebling? Sure. And his brother Dev, as well as newcomer Ahsoka Tano as Brickhead. Nice. Take on the Clone Wars legends. Brickheads. Does anybody have the Brickheads? I'm not the biggest fan. Okay. Pieces of the Past pays off plans. Pieces of the Past pays off plans to bring Revan to canon. Sort of. This isn't quite a full canification is the word I was trying to say there, of Revan, which was technically done by a mention in The Rise of Skywalker's visual dictionary in 2019. So technically he has been canon for the last 6 years, but he hasn't been shown on screen. We haven't gotten Revan in live action or in animation or in any form. This is the first time. But it's still an opportunity for fans to see Revan again, which is no small thing at all. And while LEGO Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy is clearly set apart from the other Star Wars live action shows, thanks to the usual irrelevant LEGO tone. Oh, irreverent, sorry. I was going to say, what? Revan still emerges with a cool factor preserved. He remains one of the only dual-wielding characters, alongside the likes of Pong Krell, Sith characters, I guess, with different colored lightsabers. Ahsoka Tano, too. Well, until she gets the white ones, but yeah. And it's good to see that adaptation shown in the show. So, adapted into the show. Darth Revan needs to be done correctly because so many fans love him. It's the same thing with Grand Admiral Thrawn. So many fans love the Legends version of that character, so when he comes into canon, you can't really do it wrong. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Revan was also famously intended to appear in the Clone Wars Season 3, Ghost of Mortis, alongside Darth Bane before George Lucas intervened. And that led Dave Filoni to cut him. The Star Wars creator believed that showing Sith Lords existing beyond death was a contradiction for the established light side meaning of the Force Ghost. But that isn't an issue faced with the new LEGO show, thankfully, so that fans finally get to see him on screen again. LEGO Rebuild the Galaxy premieres on September 19th, 13 days from today, on Disney+. All 4 episodes of Season 1 are now available to watch. Okay, so there's actually, let's touch on that for a sec. Where was this? Yeah. So Sam Witwer revealed this back years ago now, that there was a scene of Darth Revan that was cut from the Clone Wars. George Lucas cut it because he wanted to make it clear that there are no Sith ghosts. Force ghosts and Sith ghosts, they can't both happen. Force ghosts are only a Jedi thing, or a light side thing, I guess. So they cannot conceive of anything beyond death. Now that sort of begs the question of, well, what is Darth Momin or Darth Bane? But those are Sith attaching themselves to a specific object and living in that. It's not them being Force ghosts, because Force ghosts are very, very different than that. So that's why Revan was originally going to appear, and this is what he actually was going to look like. This is the previs stuff from the Clone Wars, and that's what he would have looked like, but then it was cut. I mean, Dave Filoni was doing some crazy stuff in Clone Wars with the Mortis gods and everything, but even showing Darth Bane in that 6th season is crazy. If they went with Revan as well, it would have, we would probably get a lot more Revan stuff now. Actually, maybe not, because we don't get a lot of Darth Bane stuff now either. So maybe not. But either way, it would have been crazy. It would have been crazy. Yeah. Okay. So there's that. Let's move on here. Actually, before we get to the Mando stuff, because it's going to take up the majority of our live stream today, as it per usual does, I wanted to talk about this. So we reacted to the new Death Star, the Lego Death Star, on Thursday's live stream, and the $1,000 that it costs to get this Lego Death Star. And people had very strong opinions of how this thing looks, calling it the Death Slice, and complaining about, the price and all this other stuff. Those are the minifigs that it comes with. To me, definitely not worth it. However, I did see this video, and I thought I'd show you guys, because you got to give it some credit. It has some pretty cool things going on with it. So shout out to this guy on TikTok for this video.
People are not excited.
Rick Master Harry. Okay. Check this out real quick.
About LEGO's first $1,000 set, and it's because they took a ton of risks making it. LEGO kindly sent me over their new Death Star that's coming out in October, and even
Whoa. LEGO, I'll take one. Are we sending them out for free? I'll take one. Hey, over here. Hey, I'll take one.
Though it's absolutely massive, with over 9,000 pieces and 38 minifigures to fill out each section.
You know what else is massive?
There's still major doubt that it's worth the hefty price tag. Admittedly, most of the figs are pretty mid, but there's a couple standouts, including Director Krennic and Galen Erso from Rogue One, these deep-cut Imperial baddies, and the most hyped Hot Tub Stormtrooper that gets to chill in his own private spa hidden at the top of the space.
So stuff like this. He's going to get into it, but there's so many hidden little things in this Lego set which may actually make it cool. So I didn't really give it as much credit as I should have. Still, $1,000 is insane. Not going to be buying it. But Lego, if you want to send me a free one, that'd be... I mean, come on. I'd like that a lot, but no. Yeah.
There are tons of interactive details like this hidden all around the model, which makes LEGO's risky design choice a little more understandable.
See, Palpatine, hologram from Empire.
And accessible, since you're able to easily slide different sections out to get a better view or change designs to help reenact storylines like blowing up a planet, dropping figures.
You literally just flip it over and it turns into Alderaan.
down this chute will spit them right out into the trash compactor, where you can then activate the walls using one of the many hidden mechanisms. The same goes for other important Death Star events like closing this big bridge, swinging across the expansive hallway, or even collapsing Luke's platform while he fights Darth Vader.
So, like I said on Thursday, and it's the perfect analogy here, this is the Lego version of a Barbie playhouse. And it's pretty cool because it has all those little details where you can change things to go with the scene from Star Wars and all that. It's cool, okay? Don't get me wrong. It's cool. Not worth $1,000. You know? Not worth it. But hey, tell me in the chat, are you going to buy it? Tell me in the chat with all that stuff. All right, now let's move on to the Mandalorian stuff. So I have an article here titled, I'll just read you the title to start. Star Wars' next movie just became more likely to flop. Okay? And let's just say some of the stuff in this article may be true, but there is no world where I see the Mandalorian and Grogu movie being a flop. However, tell me in the chat right now, how much money do you think the Mandalorian and Grogu movie will make worldwide? To give you a bit of an example, or some information, I guess, to give yourself a good prediction here, Disney has made 5 Star Wars movies. 5. 4 of them made well over $1 billion. And one of them was Solo. And it didn't. I think Solo only made $400 million, maybe. Like, not a lot. Now, we've talked about it before on these live streams. The reasoning for that, you had Infinity War coming out that same month. It's the first movie to come out after The Last Jedi. But either way, 4 of the movies made well over $1 billion. So keep that in your head. Now, let's read this article. Okay, let's read it. Let's read it. How much money do you think it's going to make? 1 point what billion? 2 point what billion? Or less than $1 billion? I see some 770 million, 1 billion, 1 billion, 400 million. Oh, 400 billion. Oh, okay. Probably around 600,000. Probably not, hopefully. I certainly hope not. But tell me in the chat as we read this, how much money do you think the Mandalorian and Grogu movie will make? Tell me in the chat. Okay. So, Star Wars' next movie just became more likely to flop. When the galaxy far, far away returns to theaters, it could be with a dud. And it's not Rey. Okay. Star Wars is finally returning to the theaters with the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, set to release on May 22nd, 2026, marking the franchise's first theatrical entry in 7 years. So that was after The Rise of Skywalker. And following a stretch of dominated by Disney Plus programming. Since 2019, Lucasfilm has shifted focus to streaming, rolling out 7 live-action series totaling 85 episodes. 7? Hang on, let's see. Mando, Season 1, 2, 3. Ahsoka, Book of Boba Fett, Skeleton Crew, Acolyte, Kenobi, Andor, Season 1 and 2. Well, maybe it just meant 7 series. Mando, Andor, Ahsoka, Kenobi, Acolyte, Boba Fett, Skeleton Crew. Boom, 7. Got it. 85 episodes, and, of course, animation. You have 3 seasons of Bad Batch, a season of Clone Wars, the Tales stuff. So it has been living on Disney Plus for the last 6 years. The content strategy changed by Disney Disney Plus. Oh, no, Disney Plus. Trouble over at Marvel Studios has led to concern about whether the new movie can recapture Lucasfilm's box office magic. This has always been a concern. I mean, Star Wars has taken multiple decades off from being in the box office. So it's not something that's foreign to the Star Wars world, where you take this big time gap away from the big screen. You had 16 years in between the originals and the prequels. You had 10 years in between the prequels and the sequels. And now you have 6 years, or it will be 7 years come next year, between the sequels and hopefully a Mando trilogy. Entering a new streaming age to end a dominant decade in theaters, Disney used the film-centric Star Wars universe at its buoy, as its buoy. Sorry. On the day of its launch in 2019, Disney Plus debuted with the latest and greatest Star Wars project, The Mandalorian. And a lot of the success that Disney has had, or Star Wars has had, but Disney in general, with even Marvel shows and stuff, has to do with The Mandalorian being a success. If this show sucked when they launched Disney Plus with this, it could have been a disaster. But no, it was an enormous success. Like, The Mandalorian is still one of the highest viewed things ever on Disney Plus, and it continues to be to this day. So it's pretty good that it became the success that it was. And when we talk about what the box office for this movie is going to be too, you have to factor that in because it was a drastic success on Disney Plus. An instant hit. The Mandalorian went on to release 2 more seasons, consistently being one of the most popular shows on the streamer. Also during that time, Disney Plus relied heavily on Marvel Studios to develop original content for its streaming platform. But its first series didn't land until 2021 with WandaVision. So Star Wars was on Disney Plus for a whole year and a half before Marvel ever made its leap over there. You had The Mandalorian Season 1, Season 2, and The Clone Wars Season 7, all before Disney even made it, but all before Marvel even made it to the streamer. In theory, this was the way of the future for Disney. Having purchased Marvel and Star Wars in 2009 and 2012, respectively, and utilizing both excessively in theaters. However, it's hard to deny that the Disney Plus's product has worsened Marvel's box office potential, and Star Wars could be next. So the big thing in this article is the comparison between Marvel and Star Wars. Okay? Keep that in mind. One 2025 MCU movie earned an 88% on Rotten Tomatoes. It was led by a major Hollywood star, assembling a new Avengers team. Sounds awesome, right? It was one of the biggest box office letdowns in studio history. The Thunderbolts. Give me a 1 into the chat if you've seen The Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts came out, I believe, in May of this year. Maybe June. I don't even know. At some point this year. It was the best MCU movie this year. And I mean, it's not like top 5 MCU movie ever, but it's definitely top 15. It's a incredible incredible Marvel movie that didn't make money. Well, it made money, but it didn't make a lot of money. It wasn't a success, even with the title of New Avengers slapped onto it after the fact. Thunderbolts was an anomaly of sorts. Was it though? Widely praised by critics and fans who saw it. It wasn't like fans hated it or critics hated it. Both people loved it. Both people loved it. But it didn't catch fire in theaters. This would have never happened during the 2010s of Marvel when it was at its peak of its power. I agree with that. Because you had like Ant-Man and stuff during that time period. And even those movies still made a ton of money. Like right here, it says Thor: The Dark World earned $262 million, over $500 million adjusted for inflation, more than Thunderbolts did at its global box office. Thunderbolts is 1,000 times better a movie than Thor: The Dark World. 1,000 times. But it didn't make nearly as much money. So the question becomes, why did Thunderbolts flop? Well, many factors always go into box office hits or success. It's hard to deny that the film's deep ties to characters and content on Disney Plus. If you consider Black Widow a Disney Plus product because it released on Disney Plus, every member of the Thunderbolts' latest appearance was on streaming outside of Ghost, because Ghost was in Ant-Man 2. So all the characters from Yelena to the Red Guardian to what's his name, John Walker, to the fake Captain America, to even Bucky Barnes, all those characters were in shows. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Hawkeye. What the hell's the... Well, Black Widow, I guess. All those characters were in shows on Disney Plus. So it felt like you had to go and do your homework first to figure out what was going on in this movie. And that's the big issue. So, MCU veteran Sebastian Stan was last seen as Bucky Barnes in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where Riot Russell also debuted as John Walker. I was right, John Walker. Same can be said about Black Widow's Florence Pugh and David Harbour, who play two of the most prominent roles, Yelena having been last seen in Hawkeye. This foundation on Disney Plus of Disney Plus driven characters turned out to be flimsy, to say the least. As Star Wars is beginning to shift its content strategy back to theaters, the Mandalorian and Grogu movie is in great danger of not being a box office juggernaut that Lucasfilm and Disney are hoping for. While The Mandalorian was one of Disney's crown jewels, its third season saw a notable dip in quality and interest. Disagree with the first part, but yes, interest. Adding to the uncertainty of its release strategy. Historically, Disney's Star Wars films have found the most success during December's holiday run, while the upcoming movie is slated for May. This slot infamously didn't help Solo, a Star Wars story, which grossed $392 million, so just under $400 million. About 1/3 the average of Star Wars films during the late 2010s. So it's not only the fact that Din Djarin and Grogu are established as characters on Disney Plus, and it feels like as an audience goer that you might have to watch and do your homework beforehand, like with the Thunderbolts, but it's also the release strategy of releasing it in May. Solo released in May, and it performed badly. All the sequel trilogy movies released in December, and they all made $1 billion. Now, there is a reason for this May release, not just because they have to, compete with like Avatar, who's releasing in December, and Dune 3, that's releasing in December. Sure, whatever. But Solo's not making a lot of money is not because of May. May is actually one of the prime spots for a movie to release. You get the whole summer blockbuster feel. Think of Avengers Infinity War or Avengers Endgame or Top Gun Maverick, movies that made a shit ton of money. An absolute insane amount of money. Those all released in that May, late April spot, early May. So it's not impossible to make $1 billion in May. It's actually pretty easy. That's when people will probably go into the movies the most because it's the summer blockbuster. That's what the original trilogy was. They all released in May. That's what all these big time movies from the 70s, 80s, 90s were. They released in May. Only the recent Star Wars movies have been those December release dates because they found this new untapped market of holiday season. So, with that being said, do you think this is going to have the same effect that the Thunderbolts had? Do you think the Mandalorian and Grogu movie will be hurt by the fact that you have to know, or you might not have to, but you probably should know who Din and Grogu are beforehand, and they exist on Disney Plus first? Now, it's been done before with Ahsoka and with other projects where you can make a Star Wars movie or show where you don't have to have seen anything else in Star Wars before, and it still makes sense. That could be done. The Mandalorian and Grogu movie could need zero homework beforehand. However, with a name like The Mandalorian and Grogu, pretty obvious that it's going to be the same characters as The Mandalorian. And it might turn some fans away. There's also the fact that it's in May, and the fact that we haven't had a Star Wars movie in 6 years. More like 7 years. So with that being said, do you think this is a problem? Do you think it will have the same effect that that Thunderbolts had to deal with? Because the Thunderbolts, you needed to do a lot of homework. Just tell me in the chat. Do you think it'll be the same thing? And as you do, let me put up a poll. Let me put up a poll. By the way, 81% of you guys do want Cal Kestis in live action. I agree with you. Okay. Do you think the Mandalorian and Grogu will make $1 billion? Do you think it'll make $1 billion? Yes or no? Let's see. After all that, do you think it'll make $1 billion? What do we think? And if so, or if not, why? Okay. Sigourney Weaver will get quite a few fans out there. True. She will pull names. But that's the idea. There's a big difference between The Mandalorian and Grogu and Thunderbolts. There's one pretty damn big difference. It's Grogu. Star Wars has always made a lot of money off of merchandise. Quite a pretty penny. From lightsabers to ships like the Millennium Falcon to all these cool action figures of characters. There has never been a character like Grogu. Never. Probably the only thing that would come close would be like the Ewoks or something. In terms of cuteness and ability to sell toys, there's nothing like it. Grogu has been such an enormous success for Star Wars fans. For kids who want Grogu toys, for adults who got Grogu on their shirt. Look down right now. He's on your shirt right now. Not on mine today, but he's on your shirt today. He's everywhere. Grogu is everywhere. Even the Mandalorian itself, Din Djarin, the Mando armor, it's everywhere. The signet of the Mythazar, jeez, my brain's broken, of the Mythazar is everywhere. So there's a lot of already backing of kids going, oh, Mom, I want to go see the new Mando movie. I want to see Grogu. And it's their biggest Disney Plus show. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Black Widow, Hawkeye, those shows and movie were not successful. And the Thunderbolts are coming off the backs of that. This is the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, coming off the backs of their most successful Disney Plus show, and it's not even close. Not even close. Grogu's a household name. Even if he's not by Grogu, he definitely is by Baby Yoda. And this isn't even factoring in that it could be a good movie. Solo, a Star Wars story, I think is extremely underrated. However, all that it had going against it, the fact that Infinity War came out a couple weeks before, it's right after The Last Jedi, it's a Han Solo origin story without Harrison Ford, all that led to fans going, nah. And then when the movie wasn't really perceived well, critic-wise, I don't know, where's Solo at on Rotten Tomatoes? Solo, a Star Wars story, Rotten Tomatoes. Solo has a... Oh, yeah. So it has a 69. Nice. On Rotten Tomatoes. Has 69 on Rotten Tomatoes. What is going on here? $69 on Rotten Tomatoes as the critic score and a 63 as the audience score. So that right there didn't draw a lot of people in. Just didn't at all. So if the Mandalorian and Grogu movie is a success, which I'm hoping it will be, if it gets critically acclaimed, like the first 3 seasons were, if people want to go see Grogu in the theaters, like they always do, it's not going to make $1 billion. It's going to make 2. Like if it's a good movie, you got Star Wars, just pure and simple Star Wars, that makes you simply, like Solo, $300-400 million. The fact that it's Din and Grogu, their most successful Disney Plus series, at least another $300-400 million. You're already sitting around $700-800 million. You got Grogu being the draw for all these little kids. And if it's a good movie, if it's a multiple rewatch movie for Star Wars fans who want to see this time and time and time again, $1 billion is not a goal that it's going to accomplish very difficultly. Like, it'll be quite easy to accomplish that goal. Yeah. Yeah. So $1 billion, I think easily. Difficulty level, medium. $2 billion, however, difficulty level, probably extreme, but if it's good, if word gets out there, The Mandalorian and Grogu is the blockbuster movie of the summer in 2026, yeah, why not? Force Awakens made $2 billion. Force Awakens made $2 billion, and I'm sure some of you in the chat right now will tell me that you don't like The Force Awakens, and it sucks. And it made $2 billion. $2 billion in 2015. Yeah. So tell me in the chat, what do we think? I like The Force Awakens a lot, actually. I think it's a very solid movie. Yeah. I'm sticking with I'm still sticking by my trailer for the Mandalorian and Grogu movie being towards the end of the year, probably around Christmas, to get people hyped up. Yeah, not looking too good for getting a public trailer anytime soon, but hey, we already have the trailer. Like, it's been leaked out there. We've seen it a million times. But it would be nice to see a big one. The Last Jedi sucked. Well, that's your opinion. But even still, The Last Jedi, as divisive as it was, it made $1 billion. Like, what are we even talking about here? I don't know why this is such a big conversation. The Mandalorian and Grogu movie flopping because the Thunderbolts did? What, have you lost your mind? This is like talking about two different things. This is comparing apples and oranges. The Thunderbolts? Thunderbolts is a good movie. Don't get me wrong. It is. Yelena. I couldn't even remember his name. I couldn't even remember his name. He's a main character of the movie. You can't sit here and compare The Mandalorian and Baby Yoda. Huh. It hurt me to even say that. You can't even compare those two characters to anyone in the Thunderbolts. Not even close. And that doesn't even put into effect that Star Wars is all the way up here. And Marvel's like here. Marvel's had some drastic success in the last 20 years. Sure. Yeah. The last 4? No. It's had a ton of box office bombs. Yeah. I got a super chat. Alexander with a very generous $5 holla. I appreciate that quite a bit. Says, do you know that the box office sales has collapsed in many countries? South Korea, France, Germany. Unless they recover, no $1 billion. Yeah, I mean, going to movies in general has changed drastically since the pandemic, since all this stuff. Like, movie theater sales have gone down. But that doesn't stop the ability to make $1 billion in a movie. Actually, it's easier now in 2025 to make $1 billion than it ever has been before, just purely based off of inflation. You just saw it there. The Solo made only $390 million, and now that's $500 million. So, and it's not like movies aren't making $1 billion anymore. Last year, Deadpool and Wolverine made $1 billion. Rated R movie made $1 billion. 12 months ago, 13 months ago, whatever it was. I'm not saying it's not easy to make $1 billion. Or I'm not saying that it is easy to make $1 billion. But for a Star Wars movie, following your two most popular characters over the last half a decade, it's going to be pretty damn easy. Especially if it's a good movie. Again, a lot is riding on that. Especially if it's a good movie. Yeah. Indeed. Superman didn't make $1 billion, right? Superman didn't even come close. Superman was like $600 million, maybe? I guess that's kind of close, but it's not that close. 600 million? Not even close. Does anybody here think that they could possibly drop a trailer for The Mandalorian and Grogu with Tron in theaters? That'd be pretty damn cool. Yeah, I think Tron is not getting the hype that they wanted it to. So maybe they'll put in a Mando trailer to make it, make it look better. It's like when the Phantom Menace trailer dropped with a movie. I forget what the movie was even called, but it dropped with this specific movie. And people went to go see that movie like crazy just to see the trailer for the Phantom Menace. And then as soon as the trailer ended, they got up and they left. They didn't want to see that movie. Who wants to see? No, we're just here for the Star Wars trailer. And that could actually be what happens if they do that. I mean, I'd watch it because the last Tron movie was pretty good. But it came out, 12 years ago? So, yeah, I don't know. I hope so. I hope they attach the Mandalorian and Grogu trailer to a movie like that, because you have Tron, but you also have Avatar. The third Avatar movie comes out this December too, so you could get it attached to either one of those. Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting how times have changed. When I was little, it was a big deal when your favorite TV show got a movie, your favorite on the big screens. Yeah, exactly. That was a big deal, and it still is. Let's be honest. For Marvel, maybe not so much. Marvel has taken a nosedive over the last half decade. But for Star Wars, it's a big deal. Din Djarin and Grogu have been the main characters of Star Wars since 2019. And now they're coming to the big screen. That's cool. I haven't even seen Avatar 2. Me either. I actually haven't even seen Avatar 1 since 2009 or whenever it came out. I haven't watched Avatar 1 maybe since theaters. Yeah. So it's been a while. I don't know how those movies make so much money. If Avatar 2 can make $2 billion, and I don't know more than 4 people who've actually even seen it, then I think the Mandalorian and Grogu movie should be just fine. Yeah. I think it should be all right. Yeah. Can I get some good cups follow orders in the chat, please? Bum-ba! The key is good writing and good artistry. Both not entirely over 90% of dependent on cheap AI. Well, I agree with you that they definitely don't need cheap AI to make the Star Wars movies. But what we've been seeing for the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, they made a full practical AT-AT walker, stuff like that gets people excited because of that. AI is a big issue right now because a lot of people don't like it, don't like that it's taking away these people's jobs, don't like that it doesn't look as good, and deservingly so. But yeah, the Mandalorian and Grogu movie has given us every reason to think that it's going to be really, really good. They've pulled out all the stops, and this is the same guy who gave us Iron Man 1. Some of the greatest CGI ever 17 years ago. 2008? Yeah, it was 2008. 17 years ago. 16 years ago? Yeah. Whatever it is. Yeah. I'm in a great mood today. Love to hear that. I'm in a great mood too. Me and Sam, I see all the good cups follow orders. I appreciate it. Me and Sam just finished last night the Fives arc. Oh, yeah. Yeah. She was very upset that Ahsoka left the Jedi Order. Spoiler alert. At the end of season 5. And she was like, Ahsoka's my favorite character. Where's she going? And I was like, she'll be back. She'll be back. But not for a while. And then she was getting mad because she's not in the show. And I was like, no, the next arc's really good. And it's the Fives arc to start season 6. And then, of course, Fives dies and yeah. Brutal. So good. So good. So now we're on to the next, which is the Clovis arc. Clovis? With Anakin being really jealous and yeah. Jared on TV brings up a great point, actually. If the storyline of the Mandalorian and Grogu movie is just rescuing Rada the Hutt from Embo, some unknown, unnamed bounty hunter from the Clone Wars with no familiar cameos, then it's gonna flop. I would agree with you. If it doesn't connect to anything, it's gonna flop. Like if it doesn't have, well, we already know that the Empire will be in it. It's in the trailer. Ton of stormtroopers, AT-AT walkers, like the remnant of the Empire is clearly there in the trailer. So that'll be a big plot point of the movie. This is post Return of the Jedi. The Emperor is gone, but the Empire is still there. They'll need to explain that. Hopefully Grand Admiral Thrawn has something to do with that, and yeah. But I agree with you. If it's just about Stinky the Hutt,
I got a bad feeling about this.
but hopefully that's not the case. Yeah. That's not the case. Palpatine's still kicking it. True. Palpatine is still technically alive, but I don't think he'll have any input on the events of the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. Possibly.
This is where the fun begins.
Oh, it's Pam Hill's birthday? Can we get some happy birthdays to Pam Hill in the chat, please? Holy crap. Happy birthday, Pam Hill. OG around the channel. Yeah. Sorry, Grand Admiral Thrawn, the 70-year-old Grand Admiral Thrawn isn't in pristine shape. Yeah. Star Wars Meg on YouTube has it out to be no more than Stinky and Embo. Love Star Wars Meg. I really do. But I think she's absolutely wrong. I do. I think she's wrong. Yeah. I honestly want to see the Yuzhan Vong. I think they're saving the Vong. Well, probably the Grisk is more likely. But they're saving the Grisk for later down in the timeline. I don't see them becoming a prominent thing before the sequel trilogy. You know? I think Embo could be in the movie. I think Stinky the Hutt is obviously in the movie. We see that from the trailer. But I don't think that's the main plot point. Like, that's probably going to be the opening sequence, but not the entire thing. I do think that Thrawn won't be the main bad guy of the movie. Like, there'll be a bigger plot to it, and then Thrawn will just be thrown in at the end like Thanos. But you need a Loki. Using a lot of Marvel parallels today. Yeah. See, you need homework to move on. Mandalorian Season 1, 2, 3, Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, and maybe more to understand it all. Yes and no. Again, you can watch Ahsoka having not seen anything else, and it makes sense. But if you've seen Rebels, if you've seen the Clone Wars, it's better. So the Mandalorian and Grogu, I think, is going to do the same thing, where you can watch it and it makes sense. But if you watch what came before, it makes it better. It's just like the original trilogy. The original trilogy came out. It's great. It's incredible. It's a masterpiece. But if you've watched what came before it, well, I guess nothing came before it, but if you watch what came after it, what came before it in the timeline, the prequel trilogy, Rogue One, Andor, Clone Wars, it makes it better. It's nothing new to Star Wars here. Yeah. I think the opening scene is the AT-AT scene. I actually don't think so anymore. Because that would bring in the Imperial Remnant right away. I think it's more likely to be about Stinky the Hutt first. But we'll see. We shall see. Yeah. Strong rumors that they will do a Revan movie or series. I think so. I mean, not for a while, but definitely at some point in the somewhat near future. Somewhat near future. Like 5 to 10 years. Or probably not within the next 5. The Yuzhan Vong could be used for the Rey movie. Yeah, that's sort of what I'm thinking. Either the Grisk or the Vong gets used for the Rey movie as the villain instead of just going right back to the Sith because you just finished off the Sith with Palpatine. Yeah. No. Honestly, though, it would be really fun to do a time travel. No. I think doing multiverse, time travel, parallel universes, anything like that in Star Wars, no. Save that for your DCs, your Marvels, your anything else. You're anything else. No. Star Wars is so different from all that because it is just one timeline. You can have your legends, but anything in the canon of Star Wars cannot have time travel or multiverse. Multiverse, just no. No, but the actors are still alive? True. But that means you can just tell stories at different points in the timeline. You know? Yuuzhan Vong would be a nice change of pace from the from bad Empire movies. Yeah, I mean, instead of just keep continually giving us a new version of the Empire and a new version of Vader and Palpatine, then give us a different threat. Yeah. If they do time travel, they can make Legends canon again. Never going to happen. Legends aspects will be brought into canon, but Legends is never going to be brought into canon. All of Legends, I should say. Yeah. I like how Disney is, at the very least, keeping things consistent with their canon. Yeah. Well, I mean, Star Wars canon was consistently a thing beforehand, but if you asked George Lucas, it would have just been anything that he made. So the movies and the Clone Wars, and that's it. All the books, all the Legends material, all that stuff, it wasn't canon to him. And it's still not canon today. It's still just Legends. It's good, don't get me wrong. The Plagueis novel, the Darth Bane trilogy, all the Old Republic stuff, it's good. But it's not canon. Yeah. Exactly, Ian. Exactly. Yeah. What? I think Cobb Vanth will be in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, and Boba Fett is the true villain. I don't think Boba Fett will be the villain at all, but I do think Cobb Vanth could be in the movie. Yeah. They clearly set his character up to come back. And when Timothy Olyphant was asked about it, the actor who plays Cobb Vanth, he did the usual, I can't answer that type deal, because he knows something that we don't. Yeah. Yes, it was. Get old Star Wars magazines. Lucas worked on the books. Look it up, Mike. Stop lying. Okay, well, I don't even have to look this up because I know. George Lucas did work on some of the books. The novelizations of the movies, yes. But even still, he says in interviews, multiple interviews, that all the books in general that aren't part of his trilogies, they're not canon. He doesn't see them as canon. So why don't you stop lying? There's a lot of people who love the George Lucas guy. He's a great guy. He's the creator of the greatest thing of all time, franchise, whatever you want to call it, galaxy far, far away. He's an incredible human being. I mean, what are you going to do? But so many people see him as the overseer of everything. And when he sold the company in 2012, he purposefully did that. He's the one who said, look, I'm going to get $4 billion for this company that I am selling. And in doing so, I'm going to be handing over the rights to any decision and every decision because he's not in charge. Yeah. So there's a lot of people who just see George Lucas's Star Wars as canon. That's perfectly fine. I'm not going to sit here and be like, don't do that. Who am I to tell you what to do? I'm just some random guy on your screen. I'm not going to tell you to change your mind of how you look at Star Wars at all. I'm just saying the facts, Yeah. The books wanted to kill off Luke. Lucas made them kill off Chewie. Yeah, I'm sure that happened a lot. People came to George all the time writing those books with ideas. He still didn't see it as canon. Cyclops, what's up?
Hello there.
George Lucas didn't say the EU was canon. Lucasfilm adapted its tiers of canon. Accepted it as tiers of canon. Yeah, no, George Lucas always said that it wasn't canon. Yeah. How did we get here? What were we just talking about? Oh, Mandalorian and Grogu movie. Making a lot of money. Yeah. So right now the poll sits at 54% of you say yes, you do think it will make over $1 billion. Which, again, I say it's going to make $1 billion easily because of the facts that I laid out a million times. Mando and Grogu being your biggest success on Disney Plus and being household names. Baby Yoda. I mean, come on. As much as I hate the name, it's still, everybody knows it. And it's Star Wars. 4 of the 5 Star Wars movies that Disney has created made $1 billion. And that was 10 years ago. All that to say, I think it'll make $1 billion, but it is still a very hard thing to accomplish for any movie to make $1 billion. I just think it'll definitely happen for this. Okay. But with that being said, let's do this. Okay. Do 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 do. Sorry, got a little distracted here. All right. We already talked about the Lego thing. Oh, this was pretty cool. So this happened yesterday. Yesterday, yeah. The Darth Vader lightsaber from the original trilogy, the prop one used in all the fights in the original trilogy, just sold at auction for $3.65 million, the highest Star Wars auction sale ever. So this is the lightsaber in question. Has this little pole thing coming out of it so that they could use the film stuff that they put on it to make it reflect so that they could make the lightsaber. Clearly a little bit worn out here. Been through some things over the last 40 years. But $3.65 million. And I'd just like to say it'll be displayed here next Tuesday for the live stream. It's in the mail right now. Cost me a little bit. Just 3.6 mil. But yeah, it's very nice to have this fine addition to my collection. Yeah. So why would the movie flop? Well, we just went over why it won't flop. But a lot of people online are saying why it should flop, Fasty. I don't know. What are you going to do? Some days it just happens like that. So this is pretty cool. This $3.65 million is just insane. But that's pretty cool. And then this, I saw it today. So instead of a Christmas tree this year, I think for Christmas I'm going to put up a 7-foot tall Darth Vader. It's at Home Depot right now for $300. And it makes it moves and plays Darth Vader breathing noises. Hate gets clicks, so flop is an easy way to get more clicks. Yeah, I mean, that's why the article was probably written. It does make sense, though, and clicking off of that, it does make sense why they wrote this article. Star Wars' next movie might just is more likely becoming a flop. It makes sense why they wrote this article. When you look at the parallels between a Disney Plus centered show or Disney Plus centered movie with Disney Plus characters, Yelena, John Walker, etc., in the Thunderbolts, in that movie not doing well, even though it was critically acclaimed and audiences liked it, and it was technically retitled to the new Avengers movie, it still didn't make a lot of money. So using that in the same parallels with Mando and Grogu, who started on Disney Plus and now are moving to the theaters, it does make sense. However, the reason that it isn't really true that these two can be compared in that similar way There are some similarities, but it's not the exact same thing because we're talking about Thunderbolts, a bunch of nobodies that I can't even remember their names, and Mando and Grogu. Household names, merchandise everywhere. People didn't look down on their shirt and see Yelena or John Walker or the Red Guardian or Ghost from Ant-Man 2. They didn't. You look down on your shirt and you see Din Djarin and you see Grogu. They're everywhere. Even for, of course, me, I'm a crazy person, but even for non-crazy people who have some liking of Star Wars, Grogu is everywhere. So it's hard to compare the two because they're not compatible at all. The two of them, yes, they both originate on Disney Plus, but that's about it. They both release in May. I'll give them that too. They both release in May. But we're talking about two different things. We're comparing apples and oranges. Because Star Wars, 4 of their last 5 movies made $1 billion. And this is Mando and Grogu. I mean, I think it'll make $1 billion easy. And if it's a good movie, it'll make $2 billion. And as we get closer, depending on like how good the trailer is and how hype people are, I'm willing to make a lot of bets on this. Yeah. We'll definitely, because with the credits that we have, we're able to do a lot of cool things. So if you don't know, in the chat, there is a nice, my friend Droopy McCool. He was once a member of the Max Rebo band and, you know, had a crazy falling out. But he now works for me, which is great. And he can help you gamble in the chat. He can help you do all these things. But there's some other things that we can do. With giveaways, we can do giveaways with credits. So, like, you don't have to become a member. But, of course, become a what are you going to? And then we can do betting on things. So we can bet on how much money the Mandalorian and Grogu movie is going to make and all that other cool stuff. Like who's going to appear. Yeah. All that. Again, writing matters. Oh, absolutely. If the movie is good, it's going to make well over $1 billion. Maybe even 2. But that's, you know, if it's good. Greg with a very generous $5 holla. I appreciate that. It says $5 for Mike's Darth Vader Christmas stand up for from Home Depot. Thank you. No way the Mandalorian and Grogu movie sniff a Billy. Oh, no way it's going to sniff a Billy. Okay. But I will do my part. Well, Greg, I can't wait till it proves you wrong. Can't wait. Well, that's the coolest thing about this is we will argue about this till the release date, May 22nd, 2026. And then when it does make $1 billion, you'll all look stupid. Just kidding. But yeah, we'll see who's wrong. And if I'm the one who's wrong, if it makes like $900,999,999, I'll come on here and I'll make a full video going, I'm stupid. Mandalorian and Grogu movie should have made a lot more money, but it didn't. Okay? I was wrong. I was wrong. But until that day, it's going to make $1 billion. And if it does, then all you have to make the exact same video I just made of saying you were wrong. I'm more than happy to be wrong, Mike. Well, I hope you are. Yeah, but the merch doesn't count into box office. I'm just talking $1 billion in the box office. Because, yeah, it'll make well over $1 billion in merchandising easy. But, yeah, I appreciate the Super Chat. Super Chats, memberships keep the lights on over here. So I appreciate that quite a bit. 2 Billy is bold, but 1 Billy is not so much. Yeah, 2 Billy is bold. I know what I said when I said it. I know what I said when I said it. Yeah. 500 million worldwide, no more than that. So it's not going to make more than Superman. It's not going to make more than Fantastic Four. Hang on. Let me look up movies that made a $500 million. Movies that made 500 million worldwide. Let's see. So you're telling me. Yeah, Fantastic Four did make it, okay. The Superman movie the F1 movie. Let's see. These are all the biggest money-making movies ever. All right, let's see. These are all just massive movies. Okay, hang on. This is $500 million movies. A poll of 11,000 votes. So people voted the best movie, I guess, of the ones that made it. I don't know. Let's see. Let's scroll down towards the bottom for the lesser movies that probably shouldn't have made 500 million. Wait, what? This is only 20 movies. I'm looking for 11,000 movies. Where's my results of over 11,000? Let's look up something else. Let's look up worst movies to make. Worst movies that made $500 million. Let's see. Big money, bad movies. The worst movies to make over $500 million. Let's see. Oh, so it's like just an article. Let's see. Whoops, wrong button, chat. Sorry. Wrong button. All right, let's see. Big money, bad movies. The worst films to make over $500 million. A few weeks ago, San Andreas. Wait, what? So this is an older article, of course. 2015. This is a 10-year-old article. Okay. The Day After Tomorrow. Never even heard of it. Made a 500 million. Armageddon. Okay, that kind of makes sense. The Hangover 2. Okay. The Smurfs. You're telling me that the Mandalorian and Grogu movie is not going to make more money than the Smurfs? Crazy. 50 Shades of Grey. Okay. The Twilight Saga. I know those were big movies. Didn't watch them, though. Pirates of the Caribbean. Those were also big movies. That makes sense. It made $1 billion, by the way. $1 billion. Pirates of the Caribbean can make $1 billion, but Star Wars can't. Crazy. Age of Extinction? This is like one of the worst ones. It made $1 billion! What are we even talking about here, chat? What are we talking about? One of the worst Transformers movies ever. It made $1.1 billion. The Passion of Christ made $600 million. The list ends there, I guess. That's crazy. And you're going to sit here and tell me this, the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, their biggest two characters in the Star Wars franchise right now, can't make $1 billion? That's crazy. Sure, if we were talking about like an Acolyte movie, if we were talking about like a Skeleton Crew movie, probably wouldn't make $1 billion. Even an Andor movie wouldn't make $1 billion. But we're talking about Mando and Grogu. Crazy. Yeah. All right, let me end this poll. By the way, 57% of you guys. Wow. 57% of you guys say, yes, you do think the Mandalorian and Grogu movie will make $1 billion. 42% say no. All right, let me write that down so we can see. We are currently where's my pen? Where's my pen, chat? Where is my pen? Oh, it's on the ground. All right, let me write this down. 57% say yes. 42, math is not mathing, say no. Mando makes $1 billion. So this is now September 9th, or September 6th, sorry. September 6th of 2025. We are about a little over 8 months until this movie. And 57% of you say yes. 42 say no. We'll keep that poll going up until the movie releases. And we'll see who's wrong. We'll see who's wrong, chat. I honestly think a Cal Kestis film could make money too. I think a Cal Kestis series would be great, but he already has 3 video games, or he's getting a 3rd video game. So, I mean, sure. Why not? Yeah. Why not? I'm not on the $500 million boat, but there's only 6 movies in history that made $2 billion. I'm guessing anywhere from $1.1 billion to $1.5 billion. Either way, those are incredible numbers. Yeah, if this movie makes $1 billion, think of how huge that is for Star Wars. If the movie is really, really good, of course, that's huge for Star Wars. You want a good movie. But if it makes $1 billion, that's enormous. The return to the theaters makes $1 billion. That's very good for what comes next, which is next year's Star Wars Starfighter, which needs all the help we can get. Even with Ryan Gosling and Sean Levy and Amy Adams and Matt Smith, these big names attached, it still needs success before it. And the Mandalorian and Grogu movie could do that. It could be The Force Awakens for its Rogue One. I like that. Okay. But with that being said, Star Wars needs a win. I don't know if Star Wars really needs a win. Didn't we just get a win? Andor Season 2? I think no matter how many wins Star Wars gets, you're still going to have all the people out there that are crapping on it because that makes money. That makes them money, I'm sure. Too many people make a living off of crapping on Star Wars. Star Wars could be the greatest thing ever, which it is. And they would still find a way to crap on it. You know? Yeah. Oh my God. Ron with the very generous $10 holla. I appreciate that quite a bit. Says The Force Awakens made $2 billion. I think the Mandalorian and Grogu movie will do better. Okay. I mean, I certainly hope so. $2 billion is crazy. I think it'll make $1 billion easy, but $2 billion will be hard. It would be hard. Yeah, it would. So, I hope you're right. I really do. But Super Chats, membership, keep the lights on over here. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Yeah. All this to say, we are still 8 months away from this movie, and we've been talking about it for weeks. Like, the hype for this movie's already here in the crazed Star Wars fandom. And as we get closer with trailers and stuff, people will get way more excited too. Yeah. It wouldn't be surprising if Starfighter makes more money than Mando. I don't know about that. Even with the names of Ryan Gosling and Amy Adams, it's not going to draw more than Din Djarin and Grogu. Maybe it will because of the success of Din Djarin and Grogu's movie. But if the Mandalorian and Grogu movie is bad, I think Starfighter will hurt badly. Yeah. The big dilemma is tricking audiences into believing that Star Wars is cool again. Star Wars is always cool. You have to remember that it's not really made for the older generations, as we really like it a lot, as much as we like it quite a bit. And I'm, 23 years old sitting here talking about Star Wars for the last 2 hours, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. It's not made for us, if that makes sense. It's made for us, but it's made for younger audiences in particular. So this Mandalorian and Grogu movie has to not make Star Wars cool again. It has to introduce the next generation to Star Wars with Grogu and Din Djarin, which is pretty damn cool. Yeah. Give people options on the poll. Like, what does the Mandalorian and Grogu make? Like 500 million, 600, 700? Okay. I will next time. Yeah. I'll write that down. Give options. Give options. Mike, you idiot. Circle it. Put a star next to it. Give options, Mike, you idiot. Okay, I will. All right. Yeah. Okay. With that being said, I do have to get on out of here. I got to go finish up a short for today. So watch out for that short later on. Today, it's about blue milk. That's all I'll give you. And then every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday for the rest of your lives, we will be here live. So hit that subscribe to stick around. Hit the bell so you get notified every time I post a video, blah, blah, blah. Smash a freaking like in this stream. How many likes do we have, chat? How many likes do we have? Darth Revan in the new Rebuild the Galaxy trailer. Cal Kestis coming. And hopefully some Old Republic very, very soon. But will the Mandalorian and Grogu flop? Absolutely not. But only time will tell. Only time will tell. I appreciate you all so much more than you'll ever know. Smash a freaking like in this stream. And may the Force be with you. Always. Oh, yeah. What a great stream. What a great show. You guys are the absolute best. I appreciate you all so much more than you'll ever know. Yeah. Did we watch the full trailer? Yeah, we did to start the stream. It's only a minute long, the new trailer. It's only a minute long. But I appreciate you all so much more than you'll ever know. Huge shout outs to Ron, Darth Plagueis Lives, Alexander. I think I missed one other person now. Yes, Greg, for the very generous super chats, memberships, keep the lights on over here. So I appreciate that. Watch out for that short later on today. Hope you have a great rest of your evening, great rest of your lives, and good night, everybody.